Hey, First Baptist, hope you're doing well. I wanted to just share a thought with you today in light of just the tumult and the craziness of our society, our lives. We have just political upheaval right now, dealing with COVID, economic issues. You could look at the news, it doesn't take long, right? And that's in addition to what we have going on in our own lives, right? Where we're struggling, trying to figure out how to be parents, or dealing with severe health issues, or just internal stuff of loneliness or depression. There's a lot going on. And, when we look at our circumstances and deal with some of these things, we all interpret them. In other words, we make conclusions based on what we're experiencing on our circumstances. And one of the conclusions we tend to make, and a lot of the conclusions we tend to make, we make this conclusion that maybe God has forgotten us, or that He's not a part of the picture, right? So either we draw the straight conclusion, this circumstance and the pain means that God's forgotten me, dismissed me, He doesn't care about me. Or I maybe less directly, I interpret this circumstance without regard to God. Like this circumstance means there's no meaning, or that this pain is just all there is. And so we can leave God out of the way we view, interpret, think about the world. And so I think one of the most powerful things we can do in the midst of our pain and struggles is to come back and simply remember who God is. This is like theology. And I can remember people talking about how theology isn't that practical or whatever. It's just for those nerds. But there's nothing more practical than the character of who God is, of His nature. And so let me give you an example of that. In Isaiah 40, Israel is going into exile, being disciplined. And it's just harsh. It's hard. And they've lost their homeland. Everything is falling apart. Loved ones dying. It's a mess. They've been conquered, defeated. They're slaves, essentially. And they start to think like God doesn't exist. They interpret their circumstances in such a way that they kind of think God's forgotten us, right? And so what does Isaiah do? He calls them back to remember who God is. Listen to this, just this little section, Isaiah 40, verse 27. Why do you say, O Jacob, and speak, O Israel, my way is hidden from the Lord, and my right is disregarded by my God? Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. And Isaiah goes on, but right there is where I just want us to camp out and say, okay, that's what I need to do. When I can tell I'm thinking, oh, God's disregarded me, He doesn't care about me, or I'm just leaving Him out of the picture as I look at my pain and struggles, right there is where I need to talk to myself, preach to myself and say, hey, have you not heard? Have you forgotten who God is? He's the everlasting God. He doesn't grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He's the creator of the ends of the earth. I want to simply stop and remember who God is. What's He like? What are His perfections? Just dwell on the different attributes of God and who He is. That's where I think we need to start. Instead of starting with our circumstances and then interpreting God from our circumstances, we need to start with who God is, reminding ourselves and each other who God is, and then interpreting our circumstances based on that. So in this time, if you're feeling like, man, I'm just struggling, pain, I can't get away from this, take some time to simply sit with this rock-solid truth to remind yourself who your God is. So hope that's helpful. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.